The disbelievers continued torturing the Prophet and his followers wherever they went. Despite this, the Prophet continued preaching to the people, and more followers accepted Islam. One of the most notable events during this period was the conversion of Umar ibn al-Khattab. He had been one of the fiercest enemies of Islam and a severe tormentor of Muslims. Everyone feared him. It is said that one day, in intense anger, Umar resolved to kill the Prophet and left his home with this intention. As he approached the Prophet's house, a man stopped him. When the man learned what Umar intended to do, he told him, "Your sister and her husband have embraced Islam too. Why don't you go back to your house and deal with them first?" Umar became furious upon hearing that his sister and her husband had accepted Islam. He immediately changed direction and headed toward his sister's house. As he approached, he heard the recitation of the Quran from inside. Umar walked to the door and knocked. Hearing him arrive, his sister and her husband quickly hid the written verses. Umar entered and demanded to know what sound he had heard. His sister replied that they had merely been talking among themselves. But Umar recognized the sound of Quranic recitation and angrily asked, "Have you become Muslims?" "Yes, we have," replied her husband. Enraged, Umar struck him. When his sister tried to defend her husband, Umar hit her as well, causing blood to flow from her face. Then Umar's sister stood up courageously and faced her brother, saying, "You enemy of God, you strike me only because I believe in Allah, whether you like it or not. I testify that there is no God but Allah and that Muhammad is his servant and messenger. Do whatever you wish." Umar saw the blood on his sister's face, and her words deeply shook him. He then demanded to hear the verses of the Quran that had been recited. When his sister recited the words of the Quran, Umar's eyes filled with tears. "Is this what we are fighting against?" he cried. "The one who revealed these words deserves to be worshipped." Umar immediately left his sister's house and rushed to meet the Prophet. Those gathered with the Prophet were frightened when they saw Umar approaching and tried to stop him. But the Prophet asked, "Why have you come, O son of Al-Khattab?" Umar approached with humility and joy and said, "O Messenger of Allah, I have come only to declare that I believe in Allah and His Messenger." The Prophet was overcome with joy and proclaimed, "Allahu Akbar." Umar's conversion had a tremendous impact on the people of Makkah, and many more people began following the Prophet. The disbelievers then intensified their persecution and imposed a complete boycott on the Prophet's family. Because of this ban, the Prophet and his followers were forced to leave Makkah and live in hardship. During this difficult period, Islam spread very little outside the community, because the Muslims remained mostly confined indoors. Only during the sacred months, when fighting was forbidden, would the Prophet come out publicly to preach. After 3 years, the boycott was finally lifted, and the Prophet returned to Makkah. The following year, both Abu Talib and Khadijah bint Khuwaylid passed away. This became known as the Year of Sorrow. After the death of Khadijah, the Prophet married Sauda bint Zam'a, a widowed woman who had earlier migrated to Abyssinia with her husband. During the persecution of Muslims, one calm night in Makkah, about a year before the migration to Medina, the Prophet was sleeping when the angel Jibril appeared before him. The angel opened the Prophet's chest, removed his heart, and washed it with Zamzam water. Then he brought a golden vessel, filled with wisdom and faith, and poured it into the Prophet's chest before sealing it again. Jibril then brought a white heavenly animal called Buraq, smaller than a horse but larger than a donkey, with wings by its legs. The Prophet mounted the animal and journeyed to Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. This journey is known as Al-Isra. After arriving, the Prophet entered the mosque and prayed. There he saw previous prophets including Musa, Isa, and Ibrahim standing before him, and he led them in prayer. Then the Prophet ascended through the heavens in the event known as Al-Miraj. At the Lot tree, Allah spoke directly to the Prophet and revealed to him the final verses of Surah Al-Baqarah. During this miraculous journey, Allah made the daily prayers obligatory for the believers. Initially, 50 prayers each day were prescribed. On his return, the Prophet met Musa, who advised him that the burden would be too heavy for the people and suggested asking Allah for a reduction. The Prophet repeatedly returned to Allah, and each time the number was reduced, until Allah decreed 5 daily prayers, each rewarded as 10, making them equal in reward to 50 prayers. When Musa again advised the Prophet to ask for further reduction, the Prophet replied, "I am too shy to ask my Lord again. I accept and submit to him." During this journey, the Prophet was also shown paradise, with dwellings made of pearls and soil of musk. He was shown hell as well, where he witnessed punishments prepared for various sins. The Prophet then returned home, and after these events, Islam spread even more rapidly throughout the region. The disbelievers became increasingly enraged and eventually plotted to kill the Prophet. Leaders from different tribes agreed that one man from each tribe would attack him together so that no single tribe could be blamed. But an angel informed the Prophet of the plan and instructed him to leave Makkah immediately. That night, the Prophet departed with Abu Bakr. They traveled south of Makkah to the cave of Thor and remained there for 3 nights before journeying north toward Medina. When the Quraysh discovered their escape, they announced a reward of 100 camels for anyone who captured the Prophet. Despite intense search efforts, the Prophet safely arrived in Medina. This migration is known as the Hijra, and the Islamic calendar begins from this event. The people of Medina warmly welcomed the Prophet. One by one, Muslims from Makkah migrated there, leaving behind their homes and wealth. At that time, Medina was inhabited by various tribes that constantly quarreled among themselves. But after the Prophet's arrival, many of these old feuds ended, and people united through Islam. The first major step the Prophet took in Medina was building a mosque for the worship of Allah. He then established a charter defining the rights and responsibilities of the different communities living there. This became the framework of the first Islamic Commonwealth. After settling in Medina, the enemies of Islam launched attacks from many sides. During this period, the Battle of Badr and Battle of Uhud took place near Medina. As the Prophet's reputation spread throughout Arabia, delegations from many regions came to meet him. Impressed by his teachings, many embraced Islam. The Prophet also sent companions who had memorized the Quran to various lands to teach the people. He wrote letters inviting kings and rulers to Islam. Negus was among the earliest rulers to accept Islam, followed later by others. About 2 years later, near the end of 629 CE, the disbelievers violated their agreements and attacked allies of the Muslims. Survivors sought the Prophet's help. After confirming the reports, the Prophet marched toward Makkah with thousands of followers. By the time they reached the outskirts of the city, The Muslim army had grown to over 10,000 people. Before entering Makkah, the Prophet announced that anyone who remained in their home, in the home of Abu Sufyan, or inside the Kaaba would be safe. The Muslims entered Makkah peacefully without major fighting. The Prophet proceeded directly to the Kaaba and glorified Allah upon entering the sacred city victoriously. Holding a stick in his hand, he pointed toward each idol and recited, "Truth has come, and falsehood has vanished." One by one, the idols fell. The Kaaba was cleansed of all 360 idols and restored to the worship of Allah alone. Within a year, nearly all of Arabia had accepted Islam.
In 632 CE, the Prophet performed his farewell pilgrimage with thousands of men and women accompanying him. 2 months later, the Prophet became ill. After several days, he passed away on Monday, the 12th of Rabi' al-Awwal, in Medina. After his burial, the Muslims appointed Abu Bakr as the first rightly guided caliph to continue leading the Muslim community. Muhammad was the final messenger of Allah. He completed the message of Islam and lived a simple and humble life. Often, he and his family survived only on dates, dried bread, and water for days at a time. During the day, he fulfilled countless responsibilities as leader, judge, commander, teacher, and guide. During the night, he devoted long hours to prayer and worship. Peace and blessings be upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad.